What's up, guys? So I want to do a video right now about triangulation, how to manipulate a high-end homeowner's assistant to where you have the best chance of getting the deal. A lot of times when you're talking about, $3 million, $4, $5, $6 million home, a lot of times the assistant is the one going to be calling you, okay? It's not going to be the homeowner. Usually it's going to be an assistant or a property manager or something, preferably an assistant. So let's go with that right now. I want to give you a couple tips on how to triangulate this assistant to where you give yourself the best chance of getting the sale. What you need to make sure that you do is when you arrive, I want you to find a focal point on the house because high-end individuals are very peculiar. They're usually kind of quirky, and there's a reason that they've been able to buy this type of house, okay? And it's not because they've played cheap in life. Does that make sense? I hope so, because it's true. And what we have to do when we're going to triangulate their assistant, because what you're going to do is you're going to give the estimate to the assistant. The assistant is going to probably give, the estimate or two estimates or whatever they get to their boss. They're going to make a decision. And that assistant usually is going to be younger, usually going to be female, and always going to be using her cell phone to Google your service or business or whatever. But when you arrive, I want you to find one focal point. Usually in homes like this, it's a fountain, it's columns, it's an archway, cherubs, statues, certain things like that. I want you to find a dirty focal point, okay? And what I'm going to do is as I walk the property, I'm going to disqualify myself early from the job. I'm going to be very nonchalant. And what I'm going to say to them is, look, Jennifer, when you have whoever you guys decide to go with to have this fountain cleaned, just make sure, especially on this very soft stone, that they use low pressure, because anything above probably 2,500 is going to scar it up. Okay, so just make sure this is one type of stone that I would be very careful with. So whoever you guys decide to go with, just make sure that they're very careful around this stone at below 2,500. Okay, so there's one thing that I'm doing here. I'm systematically setting this assistant up and putting their head on the chopping block is what I like to call it, mainly because I'm going to give her missions now. See, usually when a lot of guys in the service industry come and they walk the property with the assistant, they're just very much in this facilitating manner. I want to help. I want to help. What can I do for you? Well, here's what I show up as. I'm going to give them advice and say, listen, whoever you guys decide to go with, right? Probably, maybe not me. I could care less, right? Whoever you decide to go with, make sure they don't do this. And just FYI, that oxidization on those gutters is going to require a special chemical to get it off. That's not going to be like the normal treatment. It's going to require a special treatment that we have to apply secondary. So make sure you tell your boss that will not be able to, that we won't be able to remove that. But I won't price you out for that, or unless you call me back, and then I'll give you a price for that. Okay, so. Do you see all of these angles that I'm working on her in a proactive manner, okay, or him, whatever? And all of these things are true. If you use a red tip on a soft stone fountain, it's going to scar it up, right? If you think that oxidization, black streaks, or whatever is going to come off of those gutters with just sodium hypochlorite, that's false. But most people don't give them the mission. Give them the mission to relay it back. Now I've got a direct line of communication. I position myself as the expert, and I put her head on the chopping block. Because if that soft stone gets scarred up by Ricky, the Craigslist cowboy, who's using, the red tip on the soft stone, right? She risks getting fired, okay? And the ego of this homeowner, which is a very real situation if you're dealing with multi-million dollar properties. There is a very real situation that you need to understand. It goes very deep, and that's a whole nother book about sunken cost fallacy, ego, and the biases that these types of individuals run on mentally. They are not going to allow that fountain get scarred up and be the focal point of all the guests that come to their house looking at that blight, that $100,000 fountain, looking at that blight, or $20,000 fountain, whatever, looking at the blight of all those scars. Not going to happen. But if I'd never given her these tasks to go relay, I would have never set myself up a channel of communication. 95% of the time I get the job, okay? And it's because I've worked myself into that area. I've put a few little parasites in the mind. Look, this is some, I can go very deep. This is surface levels. This is not surface level, but this is surface level stuff as far as this goes. And anybody watching this, if you're using this, you have to promise that you are going to use this ethically, because it'd be very hard to persuade someone to do something against their will. But, it's exterior cleaning at the end of the day. We're not in, 1930s Germany here, but it's very hard to persuade someone to do something against, but you have to use this ethically, and you have to deliver. Everything that I talk about, I am preemptively covering that you're going to do an excellent job, that you're going to, honor your work if something's wrong, that you're going to, just kill it for the client. So I'm already sitting in that lane. You cannot be, a trash type human and do these things. You will be out of business very, very quickly. But take those tips, use them when you're talking with these high-end homes. Sometimes, you're dealing with a small type home, or, if they're not really that well off, some of these techniques usually they may not work, because somebody, like where I'm from in Alabama, people don't even care, dude. They don't even care. Like, there's areas of town they ain't even going to call to get their, home power washed. So this type of stuff doesn't work with those. It usually only works with, I'd say 2 million plus type homes, up to 6, 7, 8 million, which is some of the ones that we've done, that it really works. These types of people are very cognitive of who is on their property, what they look like, and they will make it clear to you that no photos of this property get taken and show up on anything. They will press charges. Like, it's another level of client, but in order to deal with these types of clients and to get the business, you have to learn how to work them through their assistant, right? You have to learn how to triangulate that assistant and give that assistant motivation to win, because if they botch it, they're fired, all right? And you can set that up with actual true statements, because soft stone can be scarred, and there's certain things on that house that can be ruined. So understand that and use this technique and make it your own, right? Use it, make it your own, but make sure you're setting up those little booby traps and using those little mental parasites for these assistants, because they can leverage, and honestly, you could be $1,000 more than the next guy, and they're going to call you wanting to do business with you and say, we want to do business with you, but you're $1,000 more than anyone else. So can we chat a little more about, what you're going to do? Like, that's a different conversation. And I would say, sure, absolutely. Well, here's what we're going to do on this fountain. Here's how we're going to treat this, calcite white scum that you have coming out of your house. Here's the red stains that we're going to treat with F9, okay? Here's some of this stuff. Like, Jennifer, listen, this is a very high-end service, okay? And I know that that's something that a lot of companies don't offer. And look, maybe, I don't know if you're wanting to go down that route, right? Where we come in and do a just jam up job for you. But I do know that for a lot of, or most of our high-end clients that are, have $2 million plus homes, this is the package they buy. So when do you want to have your house cleaned? Right. All right. Guys, have a great day. reach out to me. Download my PDF on my sales techniques in the description, and stick around and let's chat. Holler at me. I want to hear about your story. I want to hear about how you got into this business. Everyone has a unique story getting in, and that's what I'm learning. And if I can help you out in any way, give me a shout. All right.